The final match of this year's Six Nations was in Dublin. Ireland were playing England. Ireland have won the Grand Slam. They beat England 29 points to 16 in a very scrappy, intense but scrappy affair. This is not Ireland's best game of the tournament. I think it's their worst performance of the tournament, in my personal opinion. England much improved with their aggression, their combativeness, and their heart and desire this week. The France game was I wouldn't say it was an aberration, but they were not at the races. They were really up for the fight. There are two controversial moments. I think Jack Willis' yellow card, and we'll discuss that, I think is possibly just justified. I think maybe a penalty could have sufficed if we're going by consistency of referees across the board. The Fiku tackle on Wyn Jones in the previous game, for example, was just a penalty. Now, the Freddie Steward red card is the real controversial moment, and we can debate that in due course. But from the opening whistle, England were more combative in the breakdown. They were slowing the Irish play down, disrupting really effectively. It was a battle for every ruck and every maul. There was a lot of turnovers, a lot of handling errors. You could see that the pressure of the moment was somewhat getting to the Irish. They looked a bit nervous and a bit tense. And in the first 15 minutes or so, England are the better side. They're doing what they set out to do, which was disrupt, make it scrappy, stop-start. Don't let Ireland gain that momentum, gain that fluidity. Owen Farrell slots 2 penalties in the first 15 minutes. One on 7 minutes, one on 15. Now, Johnny Sexton responds with a penalty on 19 minutes to settle Irish nerves, but it's still an arm wrestle, and no one side is coming out on top. England are, as I say, disrupting very effectively, which is making it a scrappy game, but the intensity's there and the tension's there. This was, I think, Ireland's worst performance out of the Six Nations. They played so well to come up against this England side that is wounded from the France game. There had to be a response, and there was. And they're leading for a fair bit of the first half. The Dan Sheehan try in 33 minutes. This is where the arm wrestle Ireland have started to win that little battle. They've won the arm wrestle a little bit. They're not fully, winning in a sense, but they're starting to win the grind. But this is a brilliant set play-off line-out. Sheehan has had a brilliant match today. Absolutely fantastic match. Van der Fleer as well, he's been brilliant as well, acting like a scrum half from the line-out. So that's a deliberate set play. They've seen a weakness in the defensive line of England, and Van der Fleer put Sheehan through a gap. And they have worked out a weakness with England from line-out defence. It's a brilliant try, and suddenly the momentum's with Ireland a little bit. Sexton converts, and that's calmed the nerves. It's 10-6. On the stroke of half-time, Freddie Steward and his send-off. Right, let's debate this, because this is a very key turning point. It is head contact. There's no attempt at a tackle. No, the pass has gone forward, and it's hit the ground. Now, Keenan has picked the ball up rather than kicked it. It's an awkward one. It's not a nice instant. Keenan doesn't return to play. And as I've seen on social media as the game was going on, that the Irish player sold it. Now, he failed his HIA, he failed his concussion protocols. He did not return to play. So the player has left injured, which is one thing. Now, in the referee's word, it was reckless and the duty of care. And it is contact with the head. Freddie Steward's body position, I think, doesn't help his case. That now Freddie Steward is not a dirty player. And you could see straight away the concern on his face. He went to check on his opposing fullback. You could argue he has a split-second decision to make. Piper, the South African referee, he's a bit controversial. He can be inconsistent, although he's relying on his touch judge and his TMO. They all come to the same conclusion. The replays don't help Steward's cause. But if we're going by refereeing consistency, I will mention the previous game with Gail Fiku and the tackle on Wyn Jones, which should have been a yellow in my book, was just a penalty. So we've gone to the other end where it's a red card. Now, obviously, with the current climate in the game, wanting to reduce head contact, player welfare, player safety, the onus and duty of care is on the defending tackling player. And there is no attempt at a tackle there. But then I'll go back to last week with Van der Fleer against Ireland with the shoulder charge, where he's tried to shoulder charge the opposition winger out of play. And there is no retrospective action. So we've seen a real lack of consistency in this area when it comes to shoulder charges, no arms tackles. I will also go back in time to Danny Cipriani incident before the last World Cup, where again he's not attempting to make a tackle. He stood in the defensive line. The player falls into his shoulder, and it's head contact with the shoulder. And in Cipriani's case, going, well, I'm not attempting to engage the player. The player's fallen into me. But because he's in the defensive line, in that incident many years ago, and this is when the rules started to change around head contact and the seriousness and more red cards being dished out, he was also sent. Now, that was in a club game. This is in the international game. So that intensity level is that little bit higher. It is a split-second decision. It is controversial. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it does have an impact on the game in the second half with the amount of tackling England have to do, and of course playing 40 minutes a man down. So that's half time, and we can debate the Freddie Steward. I think World Rugby needs to look at mitigating circumstances and I think about maybe refereeing common sense. I think a yellow would have sufficed. However, Keenan has left the field injured, so that might upgrade the seriousness. I think Freddie Steward's in a no-win situation. If he's head on, it's still head contact, but he does turn his body and then protect himself. Yes, but the elbow comes up, and it's an ugly incident, but an unintentional incident. So we can debate that to death. After half-time, England get the first points to make it 10-9 with an Owen Farrell penalty on 51 minutes. And then you are thinking, even England with 14 players, back to the wall job, they might pull off a shock because Ireland are still not getting into their rhythm. And then they score 2 tries in a handful of minutes, and the game is blown over. And Ireland look a bit more comfortable and a bit more relaxed, and they've started to wear England down, and they've won the arm wrestle. The penalty count from England is far too high in this game, even before the Steward red card. Now, Henshaw gets his try in 61 minutes, and this is where Ireland have won the arm wrestle. Many phases of play. Henshaw, great player, great ball runner, and Sexton converts. And then Dan Sheehan on the short side. This is a great bit of interplay between players on a very, very tight short side channel from a line out. And they are exploiting the fact that there's only 14 defenders on the field. He makes an initial break, and he takes on the smaller man in Van Poortvliet, and then gets involved in the next phase of play, and he's there, obviously, to score the try. Ireland like those short side plays. England defensively caught out there. And that was with energy and quick thinking. The Jamie George try, England weren't giving up. They were still scrapping for everything. Even a man down. They're not a man down in the forward pack. That's a great rolling maul. And that's on 73 minutes. There's a bit of fight left in this England side. They're not going to go away quietly. Farrell converts. But then, literally from the ensuing kick-off in the next phase of play, Jack Willis is yellow carded for an unsafe clear up, very similar to the Gael Fiku tip tackle on Wyn Jones. I felt this one yellow cards just, but you could argue penalty only. He did bring the player down in a safe, controlled manner, but he's gone and tipped the legs, and it's a clear out. There is obviously Tuolangi's involved trying to clear out another player. It sort of becomes like a bit of a table bridge thing, which doesn't help. But there's not much complaining from England in that sense in regards to the Jack Willis yellow card. They were complaining more about the Freddie Steward red card. The Jack Willis one, I think yellow is fair. But again, referee consistency between referees from game to game. Gael Fiku, his tackle, Wyn Jones, was very similar to the Jack Willis one, and that was just a penalty in the previous game. So that debate about refereeing consistency and interpretation. But again, Piper, the referee, has gone. He had in the earpiece. The TMOs said you might want to check this. Piper, I think, wanted to give a penalty initially because it is in his eye on. He's looking at that clear out. So he's aware an incident's taken place. He's getting communication from the TMO. The TMO has said, actually, if you look at it, while he has brought the player down safely and reduced the pressure on the player being brought down, and there is another player involved, in a sense, involved in that clear out, and looking at the replays in real time and in slow motion, they've decided to go with the yellow card. So that's on 73, 74 minutes. They have another light. They kick for touch, and then Rob Herring does a similar move to what Sheehan did earlier with these short side plays off the line out, and gets his try. So 3 tries from the Irish hookers today, and that tops off the scoring. Bonus point win, and they get the bonus point for winning the Grand Slam as well. This wasn't a great Irish performance. Apart from the second half, they then managed to grind out and turn the screw and get that momentum. Wasn't the best Irish performance. England made it exceptionally difficult for Ireland to play today. They really scrapped and fought, and in adversity. And those two, that red card and that yellow card, will be debated at length ad nauseum for a while. We are going to see incidents like that in the World Cup. We will see a Gael Fickou type incident in the World Cup, and then again, refereeing consistency will come up again. But on a match point of view, the tension was there, the nervousness was there. On an entertainment value, with that tension and nervousness, and it was there. Was it the best game technically? No. I think the France-Wales game was far more entertaining, and France did their bit in getting a bonus point win and hoping England did them a favour. And for a period in that first half and bits in the second half, you could say, okay, there's a possible upset here. Ireland aren't firing on all cylinders. And then the Henshaw and Sheehan tries relaxed Ireland. They started playing a little bit more. They won that arm wrestle. England were a man down for half the match, and then they finished with only 13 players on the field. The penalty count is a concern still for England, even with a changing coaching setup. But Ireland, years past, in a Grand Slam decided like that, would have buckled. This, in my opinion, is a sign of a very, very good side. There's a reason why they're the world's best team. There's a reason why France are the second best team in the world. These sides know how to win with adversity, when they're not playing well, when they're not at their best. And Ireland, they can see the gap in class there. And the same with France and Wales. You can see the gulf in class. And a deserved Grand Slam. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below. I will expect a lot of conversation around the Steward red card and the Jack Willis yellow card. And let's see what happens in the comment section. But thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more video content for you very, very soon.